Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so we were talking halfway here. Okay, we have disposable income on this table. We have saving and we have consumption. Okay, so therefore, like what we said just now, okay, in the closed economy, our income can be used either for consumption or saving purposes. So in order for us to calculate consumption, I will just use disposable income minus saving. Okay, now when saving is negative, that means this saving. That means that you need to cash out money from the account in order to pay for expenses. So therefore, when your income is zero and you still pay for certain expenses, here we call it as autonomous consumption. So what is autonomous here? So now let's move down a bit here. I provide you some extra notes here. Autonomous expenditure means the expenditure that is independent of income. That means exogenous one. Okay, so that means that this is something that you will spend even if the income is zero. Okay, so I can call it as small letter A. Okay, induced expenditure. Induced, that means it is dependent on the income. There's influence in your income. The more you earn, the more you spend. So we call it as small letter B, Y. So consumption equals to A plus B, Y. So induced expenditure, like for example, let's say I say 0.8 Y. Meaning to say that for every $1 that you earn, you spend 80 cents of it. For every $1,000 that you earn, you spend 800 of it. Okay, so this B over here is your marginal propensity to consume. Marginal propensity to consume. Okay, so for every $1 you earn, you spend 80 cents of it. If I say 0.7Y, that means for every $1 you earn, you spend 70 cents of it. Okay, so therefore it is dependent on the income that you earn. Okay, so this is what I call as induced expenditure or induced consumption. Now, there was this interesting research by economists. So there was this professor doing this experiment in class. So he was telling students that, okay, try to think, if let's say now I give everyone $1,000. Now, let's say now you receive this $1,000 out of a sudden. How are you going to spend it? Like how much you will spend and how much you will save. Because from there, we can see whether you are in financial needs or not. Okay, why you say so? Because for example, today you receive this 1,000. Okay, you think about how much will you consume and how much will you save. For example, let's say you say, oh, I'm going to spend 900 of it and save 100 only. So in that case, that means what? That means your marginal propensity to consume is 90% of it, 0.9 Y. That means you are actually in financial need. You're really in need of money. So therefore, when you receive this extra $1,000, you spend most of it. Like poor people. Poor people are in need of money. So therefore, when they receive this extra cash, they will spend most of it because they need money so desperately. So therefore, that explains that if today, when you receive this extra $1,000, you spend high portion of it and result in high induced expenditure, that means you are poor. Today, if say, well, I don't need so much money, I probably just spend 100 and I just save the rest of the 900. So that means what? That means your induced expenditure is only like what? 0.1. You only spend the $100 for every $1,000 that you receive. So you do not need money so much. So probably you are doing quite financially well. Okay, so from this induced expenditure or induced consumption here, we get to see whether the person is rich or poor. Okay, so at least this is what we call as induced expenditure. From here, you can see induced expenditure. How much you spend for every $1 that you earn. Okay, now, so we go back to the question. Calculate MPC and MPS. Okay, calculate MPC and MPS and then calculate the multiplier. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now we talk about marginal propensity to consume. Okay, so question number 2 is basically you want to calculate marginal propensity to consume. we call as MPC. Okay, so therefore, how the formula looks like? Okay, first of all, we say already consumption. We say consumption equals to autonomous consumption plus induced consumption. Okay, so therefore, to find MPC here is basically my B. Okay, this B here is my MPC. This B here. Okay, so therefore, I look into the change in consumption as a proportion of change in income. So for every change in income, how much extra I spend? Okay, so that's the formula for MPC. Okay, so therefore, how do you find the change? You look into the new one minus the old one. So for example, you look into this table. Okay, we take a new consumption from is 10 minus the old one, which is 5. Okay, divided by 10 minus 0. You can take any figures. You want to take these two figures at the bottom also can, like 25 minus 20 divided by 40 minus 30 also can. Okay, so let's say we take these two figures. Okay, so therefore, we can write okay, so at the end, you will get 0.5. Okay, so that's the answer for MPC. So another formula you need to know. Okay. Okay, next one is to calculate MPS, marginal propensity to save. So for every $1 that you earn, how much you save? Okay, so first of all, let's talk about saving function first. Okay, so we say that the income that you earn can either be used for consumption or saving. Okay, so now we have a consumption function ready. We can expand this function, which is a plus by and then plus s. Okay, so to find the saving function, we use the income minus a minus by. Okay, I can form my saving function. And then I can factorize it. Okay, so negative a plus 1 minus by. Okay, so now I can write into saving equals to negative a plus sy. Okay, so this is another formula, saving function. So therefore, this small letter s is my marginal propensity to save. So just like just now, this B is the marginal propensity to consume. This S is the marginal propensity to save. Okay, so to calculate MPS, we have two methods. Okay, one method is to calculate MPS. Okay, we have two methods. Okay, to calculate MPS, one way is you should use 1 minus MPC to get the answers. So a full thing is 100%. MPC is 0.5 just now, so you get 0.5. Okay, so this is MPS. Another method is to calculate MPS, you look for the change in saving divided by change in income. So you can take any of the two figures, the new one minus the old one. For example, the new one, 0, minus the old one, negative 5, divided by 10 minus 0. Any 2 points. Okay. So at the end, you will get 0.5 as well. Okay, so that's for MPS. Then the next one is multiplier. Okay, multiplier. Multiplier formula for today's class is a simple one for closed economy. 1 divided by 1 minus b. Remember, in case you're wondering how the formula being derived, make sure you watch this video. which I explained to you how these formula are being derived. Okay, so now we can calculate, okay, 1 divided by 1 minus B. B is MPC, 0.5. Okay, B is here. Okay, then you calculate, you will get the answers, which is 2. Okay, so that's another formula you need to know. Okay, now moving on, next one, question 5. Over what range of income will they be saving and dissaving? Okay, so saving and dissaving. So you see, let me erase all this first. When you do not earn anything, you are having dissaving. Okay, so we just now we know already this is dissaving. Now from income of 10 onwards, you can see your saving will start go up, right? You can see saving starts going up. Okay, from the income of 10 onwards. Okay, you can start to save money already. Okay, now what is the autonomous consumption? Autonomous consumption. Okay, so just now we know this is the saving, these are saving. Autonomous consumption is 5. This is something that you will spend independent of income, although you earn nothing. Okay, autonomous consumption 5. Okay, next one. What is the equilibrium Y in this model? Equilibrium Y. How do we calculate equilibrium? Equilibrium, we calculate equilibrium real GDP or equilibrium output. We use the formula Y equals to AE. Okay, let me write at the bottom. We use Y equals to AE. Why is that Y equals to AE? Y is my output. You learned this before. Output approach equals to my expenditure approach, right? You learned this before. Now, do you still remember how can you get the expenditure value? What is the expenditure approach? Like now, I want to find my AE. How do I get my AE? How do I get this AE? Expenditure approach, what you refer to? Correct, aggregate demand component. So when you look into AE, that means you look into aggregate demand components, which are consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. But in this question, we don't have government spending, we don't have net exports, and we don't have investment as well. We only have consumption. So we can put our consumption function, which is A plus BY. Okay, A is what? 5. B is 0.5 and the income. Okay, so that's your aggregate demand function for this one because it only have consumption. Okay, so now I can write like this. I can say Y equals to, okay, my aggregate demand, my AE is my aggregate demand. So which is 5 plus 0.5 Y. Move the Y to the left. Okay, then minus of, at the end, you will get the answers, which is 10. That's the equilibrium real GDP. Or you can write as 10 billion. This is in billion, right? If I'm not mistaken, this is in million. This is in million. Oh, yeah. Okay, so these are the formula you need to know for your first question. S. 哪里啊？哪里啊？E 是 autonomous autonomous consumption。
哦，所以
或者 income 也是可以。啊？AE 是 aggregate expenditure。Okay, now let's look into some theory question first. Okay, let's have a look into theory question. Quick one. According to Keynesian model, changes in the aggregate demand can lead to fluctuations in the real output and employment level. Correct? Okay, changes in aggregate demand like consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports will lead to the change in real output and employment level. So correct. Okay. Next one, in the Keynesian model, prices and wages in the ADS model are flexible and adjust quickly to changes in demand. This is wrong. Remember last week we just say when we learned about inflation and Phillips curve, wages are sticky in the short run, right? So wrong. Prices and wages are not flexible in the short run. So it does not adjust quickly to the changes in demand. According to Keynesian economics, government intervention through the fiscal policy can help stabilize the economy during the periods of recession or depression. Yes, this is why he proposed the concept of multiply effect. So this one you can link to multiply effect. So in assignment, you can talk about multiply effect as well. Okay, multiply effect. This one. Okay, a person's spending is another person's income. So at the end, the GDP will increase by more than the increase in the injection. Okay, now next one, question 4. According to Keynesian model, the economy can remain in a state of underemployment equilibrium in the long run. Underemployment means people being unemployed. So yeah, without intervention, yes, the economy may not reach full employment due to market failures or rigidities. Okay, so it's correct. Because without government intervention, okay, the economy may stuck with high unemployment level. Okay, so therefore, this is why this economist, John Maynard Keynes, he proposed the importance of government spending injection to the economy, and because of multiplier effects, it will result in the real GDP increase by more than the injection. But again, say it's easy, but again, if that's so easy, right, then how come there are still some countries they remain poor? Okay, but why not government just try to help as much as they can? It's because some governments are corrupted. So therefore, yeah, because of corruption, government does not utilize the money well. So therefore, at the end, they do not inject much money to the economy, and therefore causing certain economy not able to grow. Okay. Now, next one, let's have a look into exam type questions. For example, in exam, right, you are being given with a short paragraph. From there, you need to extract the value. Here, it really extracted for you. Okay, but for exam, they will give you a paragraph and then you extract the value. Okay, so what I need you to do is this. You get the value first. Okay, autonomous consumption 10 billion, investment 20 billion, and MPC is 0.8. So now the first question, calculate consumption function and aggregate expenditure function. Remember, when they say function, that means you remain your answer as a function. If I say calculate equilibrium income or aggregate consumption, all these means in the form of values. See the difference? One is function, the other one is values. Okay, so let's open a new page. Okay, write down the important information here first. Autonomous consumption is 10 billion. Okay, investment is 20 billion. Marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. Write this down first. Okay, first question is consumption function. Consumption function equals to A, autonomous consumption, plus induced consumption. Now, for today's class is closed economy, so we don't have to extend this income. Next week, we will extend this income because with government spending, you will need to pay taxes. So your income will need to minus taxes, minus autonomous tax, minus induced tax, plus transfer payments. So that's for next week. For today's class, because you don't have taxes, you don't have transfer payments because of no government spending, so we don't have to extend it. We will just remain it as Y for today's class. But for next week class onwards, you will have all these components. Okay, so we ignore that first. So we can just calculate A is 10, B is 0.8, and then Y. So remain your answer as a function if the question asks you for function. Okay, now question B, aggregate expenditure. Okay, so how do you calculate aggregate expenditure? Aggregate expenditure equals to aggregate demand. So aggregate demand equals to consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. Again, we do not have government spending and we do not have net exports here. Only consumption and investment. So consumption, we put that function in, and then investment is 20. So at the end, you get the answer. So for this question, you only have consumption and investment. So at the end, you get 30 plus 0.8y. So remember, this one consumption, we put the function in now. Okay. Question 3, question C, okay, is to calculate what? Calculate equilibrium, right? Equilibrium, the aggregate consumption. So when I say equilibrium means my output, the country's output, the country's income equals to aggregate expenditure. So you can just write as y equals to 30 plus 0.8y. Move the y to one side. Okay, it comes like this. And then y will equals to 150 billion. Okay, question D, aggregate consumption. That means in the form of values. Okay, value. So how? So now we substitute that in. So just now we say consumption equals to 10 plus 0.8y. So 10 plus 0.8y is 150. Substitute that in and then calculate, you will get 130 billion. You write the figures, that's fine as well. You just write a figure, that's okay. The figures also can. Oh, just now you asked this one, because this one is because you move y minus 0.8y and it becomes 0.2y. Yeah. Okay, next one. Question E, multiplier. Okay, multiplier. So use back the formula. One divided by 1 minus b. 1 divided by 1 minus B. B is your MPC, okay. So at the end, you will get the answers, which is 5. Now, just now you found the consumption function. If I want to ask you, calculate saving function, can or not? Also can. If I want to calculate saving, I will just use the income minus consumption. So income, so I will just use the income minus consumption. Income is 150 minus consumption is 130, becomes 20 billion. Okay, if I want to calculate saving function. Okay, question F. If investment in year 2 increased by 5 billion, what is the change in Y between year 1 and year 2? Okay, investment increased by 5 billion. Okay, so investment increased by 5 billion. So now I want to calculate the change in output. So how? So I want to calculate this change in output, change in Y. Triangle means change. Okay, so how? So I use the multiplier times any injection. Capital letter A, injection. Okay, this one means injection. Okay, this is another formula you will need to know. Okay, so therefore, multiply is 5, and then the injection is 5 billion. There's an injection. Okay, it's 5. So the output will increase by 25 billion. So that's the change in output. So question G is asking you to calculate the new equilibrium income. New equilibrium income. So new equilibrium. So to calculate new equilibrium, I have 2 methods. Method 1 and method 2. So new equilibrium means I want to find my Y2. Okay, so one method here is to get Y2, you use Y1 plus change in Y. So 150 just now plus this 25, you get 175 billion. Straight away you get answers. So that's one way for you to calculate the new equilibrium. Okay. Another method is you calculate the new AE first. You calculate the new AE first. So for example, here AE2, the new AE equals to the first AE plus the new injection. Here is change in investment, right? Here is new investment, 5 billion, the new injection. Okay, so we add on the change in investment. So AE1 just now is 30 plus 0.8Y from here. Okay, plus the 5 billion. So it's 35 plus 0.8Y. Okay, and then now we can calculate. Okay, so now Y2 equals to AE2. Okay, So we can write into y equals to 35 plus 0.8 y. Move the y to one side, and at the end, you will get the answers. Same answers. So different methods, but same answers. So this one is just that you use this AE first, and then use back this equilibrium. Okay, like this. So through method 1 is basically you get this value first and then find this one. Method 2 is you use AE true and then to calculate Y true. Okay, the whole question like this, 20 marks. So one thing wrong, the whole thing gone. Yeah, equivalent income or equivalent output is the same because remember output equals to income equals to expenditure, the one that you learned in chapter 2. Yeah. Value 我要那个 actual value， 所以我要 value 的话，我就要把那个刚才我算到的 equilibrium 这个 output 放进去，我才能算到啊。我要那个 value。画 AD。等一下，那个 graph right later no not new graph we draw new graph today。没有嘞 ，AD 不是 AD 要加 C 加 I 加 G 加 NX 完，这个只是 C 罢了哦，这只是 C 而已。因为 OK， 因为这一题它只有 C 啊，还没有 investment 啊。刚才 question C 还没有 investment 嘛？不是 investment 是加进去了 ，investment 是加进去了。它 investment 加进去了，你的刚才那个20加进去 AE 里面了。啊哈。这题没有给他们了，这题是给你看 investment。啊哈啊哈。对，因为 government spending 就像 injection， 只是这一题我不是讲 government spending， 这个我们用 investment。我知道，那一题一样的道理，因为有 government spending 就会导致这个 output 会提到很多。这一题我们不能把 government spending 放进去，因为如果把 government spending 放进去，我就要算完这些全部。好，然后你讲。啊，没有 government， 没有 government。那个 theory question 吧吗？哎 ，theory question 吧我。那是 theory question 吧？Yeah. That's theory question only. Yeah, that's how you fail the exam. No, 那个 government spending 的意思，因为这一题其实要给你看到的是，有任何的 injection 都会刺激到那个 economy produce 更多的 output。不管今天是 government spending 或 investment， 他们都是算 injection。只要 injection 增加，就会导致 output 增加。OK。Okay, now let's try to draw the diagram. Okay, so therefore here one thing you can see is that with the multiplier effects, right, it can lead to higher increase in real GDP. You see, with only 5 billion injection, it leads to an increase of real GDP by 25 billion. Why? You can understand from this one. Now, when my consumption function is 10 plus 0.8y, okay? So when investment increased by 5 billion, now this could be investment or it could be government spending also can. Any injection, as long as any injection is called a capital letter of A. It's called injection. Okay? So investment pump in, injection pump in, it will lead to shortage of resources. Okay, because more money being circulated already, you will buy more goods and services, so there will be shortage. Now with shortage, you will hire more resources to buy goods and services. Okay, so overall, the output or the income increased by 5 billion. Now because here, this is my induced expenditure, 0.8. So 0.8, 80% of 5 billion is how much? So 80% of it is 4 billion. Yes. So you see, when output or income increased by 5 billion, people will spend another 4 billion. So this 4 billion will result in another increase of output by 4 billion. Now, output or income increased by 4 billion, 80% of it will be spent. So it will be 3.2, right? So therefore, consumption increased by 3.2 billion. That result in an increase of output by 3.2 billion as well. Again, when your output or income increased by 3.2 billion, 80% was spent on it. Okay, until it becomes zero. So when you add this thing up, when you add this 5 billion, okay, 4 billion, 3.2 billion, until it gets zero, at the end, it gives you a total increase of the output by 25 billion. 25. So from the initial 5 billion, it results in an increase of real GDP by 25 billion is because of the multiplier effect. How do you put this into sentences? I put that for you already if you want to put into assignment. Multiplier effect occurs when an increased output will result in higher national income, which leads to higher consumption. The process of increasing production, producing more, hiring more workers, increasing people's income and consumption will continue until the impact becomes zero. So this is why with these multiplier effects, right, it's like a ripple effects. It will cause the real GDP to increase, okay? A rise in the real GDP at the end will increase larger than the initial increase in investment, okay? So therefore, that's how the multiplier effect works. So therefore, that's why your output, right, at first is 150 billion, equilibrium output, now increase to 175 billion. So in between, you can see the change in output, which is 25 billion. Okay, now let's have a look in the graph. We are going to look into new graph called aggregate expenditure graph. So how do we draw? First of all, we have y-axis, we have x-axis. Okay, this is the origin. This is the aggregate expenditure. This is the real GDP, or we call it as output, or the national income. Okay. Now, so we are going to draw the graph. So I will draw the graph so you don't have to refer to this anymore. Okay. So now, first of all, we assume that when output increase, aggregate expenditure will increase as well. So we assume that the increase proportionally, y equals to AE. Okay, remember AE is your expenditure, planned expenditure. You can write as a planned expenditure. Okay, now we draw our line. So our AE function. Okay, so just now our first AE function is this one, 30 plus 0.8y. So why is that we starting from here? Why we start from here? Because when income is 0, this is your autonomous consumption, your autonomous expenditure, 30. Okay, our first equilibrium is point A. Okay, so at first, what is your output? Your output is 150. Okay, 150. So like the one that we say just now, this one 100, 150. Okay, 150. So 150 billion. So meaning to say here, my expenditure will be 150 as well. But today, I do not want to write this because it will be very messy. I just want you to let you know, when here is 150, here will be 150 as well. Okay, but we don't write that. Okay. We just leave it like this. At point A, at first, 150, the output. Okay. So now, what happened is there'll be an injection. Okay, remember we said investment increased by 5 billion. Okay, so therefore, now AE curve will shift upwards. So this is your new AE, 35 plus 0.8y here. Okay, 35 plus 0.8y. Okay, why is that 35 now? Because of the injection. Okay, because of the change in investment by 5 billion, which is the injection. Okay, so now here it becomes 35. Okay, so now point A move up to point here, A1 here. Now what can you see here? Here you can see your expenditure. Your expenditure is larger already. You see expenditure is larger, right? So your expenditure is larger than output. AE is larger than output already. Output remain the same, it's still 150. Okay, so therefore there will be shortage of resources. Shortage. Okay, there will be shortage. So what happened is this is when the multiplier effect kicks in. Producers will try to produce more. Okay, producers will try to produce more and sell more. Okay, once they receive extra income, they will spend more as well. So therefore, this will cause them to move to this new equilibrium at point B. So at point B, the new output is that you achieve 175 billion of the output, as you can see here. Okay. So in the output here, 175 billion. Okay. And this also 175, but we don't write this one. Okay, I just want to let you know. Okay, so this one I remove it. Okay, so that is your new output. So from the initial output to your new output. So from here, you can see one thing is that your output increases by how much? By 25 billion. So the increase in investment, the increase in the injection, result in an increase of output by 25 billion due to the multiply effect. So this is your new equilibrium. So that's a new graph that you learned today. Okay, so remember, whenever there's an increase in injection, it will result in the upward shape of AE curve. You expand using multiplier effect. Okay, so these are the tutorial questions for today's lesson.